Greetings everyone, John here with a first look at Final Fantasy XV running on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro. With multiple modes on offer on the Pro and the base PS4 version to contend with, I wanted to give those picking up the game on launch day a chance to see how it's running across the different PlayStation consoles. We will of course be covering the Xbox One version this week, but alas, I was unable to get my hands on a copy of that version today. For now though, let's talk about how the final game is running on PlayStation 4 and PS4 Pro using the latest patch, which is version 1.02 as of this video. Now I recently tackled the Judgment demo that had been released on the Japanese PSN a couple of weeks back and was disappointed primarily by one thing: improper frame pacing. You can clearly see the issue here in the demo, especially if you look at the frame time graph over there while using the high quality option on the PS4 Pro. And now that I have the final version of the game in hand with the latest patch installed, well, I'm disappointed to report that these very same issues have returned and manifest in exactly the same way as they did in the Judgment demo. Looking first at the game running on the PS4 Pro, we have the same options as the demo available here. You can choose to run in either the high resolution mode, which renders at 1800p using checkerboard rendering with improved visuals, or you can go for the light mode, which drops the resolution to 1080p and reduces visual quality for a smoother experience. As you can see from these results then, the high quality mode turns in a disappointing level of performance just as we saw in the demo. Bad frame pacing is the culprit here, and the results are similar to and possibly worse than something like Bloodborne. It just doesn't look smooth in motion at all when using this mode. So despite the improved texture filtering, increased level of detail, and higher resolution, it just isn't worth the reduction in fluidity. That is, if such things actually bother you. If you're lucky enough not to be annoyed by improper frame pacing, then the game does seem to maintain an average frame rate of 30 frames per second, even if each frame tends to persist for varying lengths of time. But that doesn't mean that the light mode is entirely free of these issues either. It just pops up a whole lot less often. Take this scene here. We started to see the light mode struggle while playing the cutscene back, and it didn't feel especially smooth as a result, but during most normal gameplay sequences, the light mode manages to turn in solid performance. Even stranger, the high quality mode is actually smoother in this scene. So what is going on here? Why is this problem seemingly so inconsistent? Well, what left me wondering about this is what I discovered here. I captured comparison shots showing the game running on the base PS4 versus the PS4 Pro, and it ran like this. Yes, the frame pacing looks pretty bad on the PS4 side, doesn't it? In fact, it seems to be exhibiting the same problems as the high quality mode on the PS4 Pro. But since my cloud save did not carry over my camera preferences when I loaded up the game on the base PS4, I noticed later on that the angle of the car was different between the two shots, so I thought I better go back and make a second capture in order to get something that looked more like for like. And this is what I got instead. Yep, as you can see now, the performance on the base PS4 is coming up much smoother. I flipped through the video frame by frame just to confirm this myself, and sure enough, the frame pacing is now even. But wait, this problem isn't related to the camera angle, right? Well, no, it's not. I could see that while playing the game on the base PS4, there were actually lengthy stretches when the game just didn't operate smoothly at all due to bad frame pacing, but then it would start running just fine. So if you drove over one area of the map one time and then went back and did it again, you would actually sometimes see different results. And remember, the game isn't actually dropping frames here, it's not slowing down. This is a completely separate problem. And this variation definitely leads me to believe that it is a bug, and hopefully something that's fixable, but we'll see. So this odd behavior definitely left me surprised and a little bit confused by what was happening, but having played several hours of the game now across the standard PS4 and both modes on the Pro, I do have a pretty good sense now of how the game plays best. So if you're looking for the most consistency in terms of frame times, then you want to play Final Fantasy XV on the PS4 Pro using the light mode. It can exhibit frame pacing problems from time to time, just as we see in the base mode, but it is far and away the most consistent option, and it doesn't actually pop up very often at all during normal gameplay. It tended to appear more often in cutscenes. Then you have the base PS4, which seems to sit right in the middle here. it does exhibit more issues with frame pacing that can appear for long stretches of time, but it can also flip back and run smoothly a few minutes later. From what I can tell, this sort of inconsistency does exist across all three modes and consoles, but it is most pronounced here on the base PS4. Lastly then, we have the high quality mode on the PS4 Pro, which exhibits frame pacing issues during gameplay at almost all times. There are certainly pockets when it does smooth out, but these are highly uncommon. And overall, the game does feel a lot worse when playing in this mode. If you aren't bothered by inconsistent frame times, then this mode should actually be pretty okay for you, since it does average out to 30 frames per second, but I found it extremely distracting, and even when covering the same ground multiple times over, the situation really didn't seem to improve. It was always pretty poor. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. But there is some hope on the horizon. We do know that Square-Enix is continuing to work on the game and has promised some additional performance improvements for PS4 Pro owners, including potentially the ability to uncap the frame rate and hit 60 frames per second. It would be fantastic if that panned out, and hopefully we'll find out sometime in December. But we're really just getting started here with Final Fantasy XV this week. There are some very impressive visuals on display in this game, and I want to take a look at the different techniques being used and maybe compare it to some of the older versions that have been shown to see how it stacks up in the end. I'll also take the chance to play a lot further in the game as I cover it in order to get a better understanding of how it holds up in later areas as well. And of course, starting tomorrow, we will also have the Xbox One version, and I can't wait to see what they've done on Microsoft's console as well. But all of that will come later this week. But for now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter. And until next time, this is John signing off.